Today I'm going to be painting the NPC Larkin from Casper Oliver's Welcome to Nexilis. I hope everybody's having a good day so far. Give me just a second. I hope everybody's having a good day so far. My day's been pretty good. There's a lot of things that I still want to do today, but was kind of in a depressed mood for the first part of today, so I didn't get to do as much stuff as I wanted. But doing the streams are always fun. Just changing my shirt into a better art streaming shirt, even though no one can see me. I was wearing a shirt. When I eat ramen, if I can, I change into like an old shirt. Because ramen splashes, and when ramen splashes, it tends to get all over my clothing, and then it makes little greasy spots on my clothing, which I'm not a fan of. So because of that, I have a ramen shirt, which is great. The only kind of downfall is the fact that it's a shirt I used to wear, but because it has grease spots on it now from ramen, it just feels kind of like frumpy, I guess, when I wear it. So I only wear it for the ramen, and then I'm like, I'm gonna change shirts into something a little bit more stylish. Not that anyone can see me, but like what you wear does affect how you feel. So when possible, I try to wear stuff that makes me feel energized. Kind of like how tomorrow I have a table read I'm participating in for somebody's project. And it occurred to me, like, this is the first time I've done, like, a table read. I've done table reads before for, like, when I was in shows and stuff, I would obviously do the table read. But I've never participated in a table read for the sake of a table read. Which is, like, going to be recorded, be used for some other stuff. Like, it's not the project itself, but it's to help the project along. So because of that, the other night I was sitting there, I was chilling, I was looking at the script for that, and suddenly I was like, wait a second, what do you wear to a table read? So I had to think about that, and then I was trying to think, like, kind of like when you go to an audition or you're performing a monologue or something, you should be dressed professionally, but also it's okay to, like, you should wear something. I think I've read this before. If not, this is my personal, when I go to an audition, what I try to do. You should be dressed professionally. But if you have to, okay, I'm appreciating this color that I just mixed. That's what I'm doing. You should wear something professional to an audition, from what I understand, but you should also dress something that you could at least see the character wearing within reason. Obviously, if your character is the kind of person that wears, just sweatpants and like a really old t-shirt, obviously you shouldn't wear that to the audition. Please don't. But if your character is, and like, you shouldn't be too formal either, maybe, but within reason, something you can picture your character wearing. At least in my opinion, I don't know what the true, consensus on that is. At least in my opinion, it's a good thing to do, because like, what you wear affects how you feel, and that's kind of the reason, like, when you're in a show, then when you get into costume, it's kind of that, kind of a signal for you to, like, get into character. So because of that, and that's why, like, in the shows, at least that I was in, you'd start out performing in just, jeans and a t-shirt or whatever you happen to be wearing. And then at some point we'd decide on the costumes, and then at that point we would start wearing the costumes for rehearsals. And, like, part of that also, like, when you start doing the full rehearsal where you go through the entire show with notes and everything like that, when you get to that point, obviously, costumes are an important part because you have to test out, like, is this costume going to work? You know, am I going to be able to change costumes quick enough? Because there's a couple shows that I've been in which required quick costume changes. And, like, trying to think, what was it? Oh yeah. Okay, so there was two quick costume changes from my standpoint, at least. Um, I was in the Ken Ledwig play Leading Ladies, um, which I will say I do have some issues with because it does heavily rely on the man in a dress trope. But it was the first show I was in, so with my real beef with it in mind. Um, for that show, I played the character Audrey, and for Audrey, she's like this kind of ditzy, I guess, waitress at a roller skating diner. I can't remember what it's actually called. Um, but she's not the brightest, but she is kind-hearted and she's kind of blunt, but in a funny way. I enjoyed playing her. She was fun. It's not really the kind of role I'd want to do now so much. I wouldn't be as interested in it, but it was a lot of. I did really have a lot of fun with it at the time, and I might. I just wouldn't play it the same way if I did a role like that now. But anyways, but the thing is that so with that there was one scene in which I had to go from wearing like I had my first costume, which was like a jacket that had the name of the donut shop I worked at on it. So I had that costume on for a bit during the play. And then there was a scene where I would dress as Sebastian from darn it, I can't remember the Shakespeare play. Did I not bring my other phone in here? Anyways, but I can't remember what play has Sebastian and Violet in it. But I was playing because in the play there's like a little meta play, I guess, of the characters are putting on a play. I was pleased from a gender standpoint that I got to play Sebastian because I'm like, I'm getting to play a boy character, haha. So I enjoyed that a lot. But the thing is that I had to wear like a Shakespearean kind of costume with like the puffy sleeves and stuff like that, and like the short pants and all the stuff like that. The problem is that, if I'm remembering correctly, a couple minutes later I'd have to be on stage, and I'd have to be wearing an entirely different costume that had like a dress and tights. The main problem lied in the fact that tights, when your legs are sweaty, are very, very hard to do anything with. Trying to change tights quickly is never a good choice. During the first time we did a full rehearsal with costumes for this particular part of things, I was trying so hard to change my tights quickly. I didn't really know how to put on tights. I didn't know you were supposed to roll them up. I was like 21, I think. That kind of, I think, speaks to my level of femininity as a teenager. Didn't know how to put on tights. I was like 20 or 21. I must have been 21. I was 21. Maybe 22. I don't remember. No, I think I was still 21. Anyways. But aside from that, I was in my early 20s and I still don't know how to put on tights. I do know now, but I was trying to change costumes so quickly, and I tried to change it, and I ripped the costume because not the costume, I ripped my tights because I tried to put them on, and my legs were sticky, and it caught, and it wasn't a vibe, And then the, I guess, house manager? I don't remember what the actual term was. She was like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to put my costume on." So we realized that like that wasn't going to work because it was much too unreliable for me to try to put these tights on and hope that I was done in time. So because of that, I was like, okay, well, I gotta find a good way to make this costume change appropriately. And the only way to do that was actually, I realized I could put the tights on because I had a long time to change into the Shakespearean costume. So if I'm like, I think what I ended up doing is I might have worn my dress under the Shakespearean costume. Put the Shakespearean costume on over it. And then when it came time, all I had to do was go backstage and rip off the Shakespearean costume and I was wearing the dress. If nothing else, I know for certain that I kept my tights on. So I just had to put the dress on maybe. I don't actually remember. But it was one of those two things. Actually, I think that's what happened because I wasn't wearing the dress in the earlier part of the show. I was wearing the like roller skate outfit with like a little sweater, maybe a little skirt. I don't remember. I would have to look at pictures. But anyways, but yeah, that worked out a lot better. But and we had quick costume change also in some of the scenes where at the end, the characters are changing from their dresses to their more masculine clothing. Again, I have an issue with that trope, but it did require a lot of fast costume changes. So kudos though to making those costume changes happen. And it required a lot of help from our stagehands and stuff to make those happen, which was very appreciated because it wouldn't have happened without them. So costume changes are a big and important thing. But yeah, we would start rehearsing with costumes to make sure. I'm really surprised actually that I remembered my original train of thought on that because I was certain I was going to forget it. I was trying to think like, why was I talking about costume changes? And then I remembered it's because I was talking about stage rehearsals with costumes and like that, rehearsing the costumes and making sure all that was good to go. That was one of the reasons that I was talking about that. Really, really amazed that I actually remembered that. But anyways, but yeah, so you rehearse a show with costumes to make sure that everything will work out, because you may go, oh, it wouldn't be that hard to change in the costume, like, but do you actually have time to change into it? That's what the rehearsals are for. So that was good and fine and everything. But aside from that, another reason is because, like, at that certain point, you have your character down, you have your lines down, you've developed this character, and costumes are kind of a shortcut into getting in that mood. In time, like not in time, in an instant, really. Like you put the costume on, instantly you're like, oh, I feel like this character. It's a quick way to kind of shortcut having some of the getting into character stuff. It's a good way to shortcut that, because like you spend all this time building your character, practicing and rehearsing and everything, and then it's an issue of, okay, cool, but how do I kind of snap myself into this mode to remember this character I've created, even, in the brief amount of time that I may have in the bustle of getting ready for the show to start? How do I make sure I can do this on time? And the costumes are kind of like a shortcut into doing that, because you rehearse in the costume and you associate, like, this costume is how I feel. Hello, Cecil! Oh, I love the froggies! I love that frog emote. So thank you for putting it there, because I love it. Peyton Larkin, talking about acting. But anyways, but yeah, costumes are a quick way to kind of trigger yourself into getting into that character. Because when you put the costume on, it's suddenly like you have kind of a muscle memory almost. And you're like, oh, is the desk crackling? What's crackling? Oh, I had my elbow on the lid. I was wondering like what was making that sound. It was because I had my elbow right there. Anyways. But so the costumes are helpful for helping you feel like the character. Which is great because, again, you spend all the time building the character. And also, like, with the murder mystery shows, we didn't rehearse in costume for those because it was improv and, like, wasn't as important to, like, put on the costume. But, like, when I would get to the show, a lot of times I'd be really nervous at the beginning, like, when I first got there. Once I put on the costume, there was something cathartic about putting on the costume. In part because playing a character, I didn't have to, like, be myself with my own anxiety. I could be this character with their anxiety, which was a lot more reassuring than me with my own anxiety. And by kind of distancing myself from it, it was easier for me to kind of deal with it and cope with it. Because I could be like, this isn't my anxiety, this is the character's anxiety. Like, maybe not the best way to deal with it, but it was definitely helpful. But putting on the costume also, like, reminded me, like, oh yeah, I'm playing this character. Because different clothes make you feel different ways. If you're dressed up real nice, you're going to feel different than, if you're wearing your pajamas. And there's nothing, good or bad inherently about any style of clothing. It's just you're going to feel different ways when you wear different things. You're going to feel different if you wear something that you feel cute or attractive in or whatever than if you're wearing something that you don't feel fits well or you don't feel cute or attractive in. Like, it's there's going to be a difference. So, getting back to the original topic, with doing this table read, I was like, okay, I need to figure out, like, what I'm going to wear. So, because of that, because I'd never done an actual table read like this, so I think I have it down. I'm going to wear something which is nice, but is also something I feel like my character would wear. So it will serve double duty of I'm kind of dressing like my character, but I'm also still looking nice. Because I will say, like, first of all, I enjoy dressing up. I enjoy dress clothing. I enjoy, in particular, masculine dress clothing. I've always enjoyed and appreciated it even before I realized I was trans, or especially in that little phase where I was kind of realizing I was trans, but not fully realizing it. In that phase, I was like, ooh, and I would see masked people wearing masculine dress clothes, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so attractive. And, like, some of the people that were doing that, I probably was attracted to them, but I also realized more than me being attracted to many people who, like, were wearing suits or whatever that I would see out and about, it wasn't quite so much, it wasn't quite so much that, as much as it was me having gender envy. Me seeing people and having gender envy, like, dang, that'd be a cool thing to wear. And I didn't realize at the time. At the time, I'm like, oh, I'm attracted to these people. And, like, yeah, some of them probably was aesthetically attracted to. But there was a lot more of them than I realized, even at the time, that I was like, oh, I'm not, that person itself, like, just not something I'm attracted to, but look at that suit. So it was just this long time fascination for me with, like, men's dress clothing. But yeah, it's something I appreciated for a very long time. And the thing is that I'm just looking at glitter. That's what I'm doing. I was interested in men's dress clothing for a long time. I'm looking at glitter because I might put glitter in Larkin's hair. I like putting glitter in my paintings when I can. Anyways. But Haha, I've got glitter. Okay. Anyways. But yeah. So the thing is that I thought I was attracted to people. In short, I probably wasn't a lot of the time. It was probably more so gender envy of me being like, wow, that's a nice outfit. And one of the things with that included, I was just getting more paint lids because I need to mix some paint, but I don't trust putting glitter paint on the other paint lid. These, by the way, if you're ever like, ooh, what are these little paint pellets? I have these little, I don't know what they're actually for. They're probably for some kind of shot related thing. I don't know what they're for. They're little Tupperware thingies that are disposable, and they come with these little lids. A lot of people actually use this type of container. Oh, it's a condiment cup. I think that's what it is. A lot of people use these for feeding like crested geckos because they eat a soft fruit food, especially when they're adults. They eat more of it, so you put it in here and they can come eat it. But I got these, I think, for that purpose, but my geckos are very slow growing, so they're still not to this size to eat out of this. But I also, these are great for mixing up resin, so I use that for that as well. They're very handy, and they were inexpensive. But they have these lids, and like I have extra lids because when I mix resin, I don't need to put a lid on it. So I've got extra lids, so I'm like, huh, these are perfect little paint mixer things. Anyways, that's one thing I'm trying to get better at doing is like mixing cool paint colors. I'm also trying to think what color hair. What color hair would Larkin have? I picture them having kind of. I'm picturing them having, kind of a dark brown. Is glitter paint always smells really strong, and like the glitter paint itself is probably non-toxic. It smells like glue. But anyways, and also it's very sticky when it dries up. Anyways, but yeah, so back on the subject of clothing, men's clothing and like dress clothing, like I say men's with quote marks around it. Men's dress clothing was always something I was interested in. You get to see paint mixing. This is glitter paint and black paint. Specifically, it's gray glitter paint. It's either that or white. So I was like, this is a little more relevant. Every time I mix paint together, I'm always like, I really hope this doesn't make a toxic combination. I'm sorry if it does. I'm in a very large bedroom with a very large vaulted ceiling. So everything is probably fine, but it's still things that make me paranoid. But anyways. But the thing is, I got my first cocktail attire outfit, which I think I've talked about on here before. I got my first cocktail attire outfit because I was going to, like an art opening. I forgot what an art opening is actually called all of a sudden. I can't remember. Anyways. I'm just pushing this further away from me because I hate how the glitter paint smells. Anyways. The glitter paint, I'm sure it's fine. Just doesn't have a nice smell. Anyways. And it smells like that before I mix other paints in with it. It's just how it smells. And it always smells that way. Okay, good. He will have glittery hair. Anyways. But yeah, the thing is, I like that. I like this color. It's a deep, shimmery, dark brown. Okay. I'm hyped because this is coming out really nice. I'm very pleased with it. You know it may smell bad. I'm pleased with it. Anyways. But yeah, so I bought my first like cocktail attire for going to this kind of art party because it was like an opening night at a fancy venue. It said cocktail attire, and that was one of the first times that I wore like masculine dress clothes. I had a little bit more femme shoes because I was also trying to soften it. So my mom's like, "You don't want to look like a boy," because I wasn't out yet as being trans. So, like, she wasn't weird about it. It was just that she was like, "Hey, you can do this." So it looks a little more feminine. And I was like, "I'll accept that compromise." I got some shoes, which ended up being really helpful for me playing femme roles with the murder mystery shows that I do. But I had a lot of fun picking out the clothing, and it was a very much gender euphoric experience. Like, oh, I'm finally buying these dress clothes that I've always wanted. I've always been uncomfortable wearing these other dress clothes, like really femme dress clothes. I'm like now wearing things I like. But my point is that like I didn't know it was going to be this way. I was expecting everyone was going to be dressed up, and like a lot of people were not wearing what the invitation said to wear. A lot of people were wearing jeans and a t-shirt, even though it said cocktail attire. But like the lady who was in charge of the venue, she literally like thanked me for following the dress code because she said a lot of people hadn't, and she appreciated people being respectful and following the dress code. So I was like, haha. So I always err on the side of dressing up rather than not dressing up if I'm questioning what I should be wearing. I'd rather come into a place and look too formal than come into a place and look way underdressed. Because at least it shows you put in the effort. There have been times I've shown up for things overdressed, and that's okay, and I'd much rather have that than me show up in jeans and a t-shirt and everyone else is wearing, like, cocktail attire. So, I always err on the side, if in doubt, of dress it up rather than dress it down. So, like, in the case of this table read, I'm like, don't know what I'm supposed to be wearing, but I'm erring on, like, this would work. And this is also something I can picture my character wearing, so. I basically want to be kind of like in hypnosis, they show that, like, when I snap my fingers, you will wake up. Kind of like that. That type of thing. But with, like, snapping you into being the character that you're trying to play. Because then you're like, oh, hello, Mal. Thank you for stopping by. Always fun to have you watching the streams. So, hello. Painting Larkin, talking about costumes and clothes and acting and all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah. So I'd much rather be overdressed. So when it came time for me to pick the outfit, because again, I was like, I don't know what to wear to a table read. Then I'm like, this is a good choice. I will serve the purpose of looking nice, and also it will help me feel in character when it comes time for me to play my character in the table read. So I'm very excited about that. Because again, it's for another project. It's not like a show that I'm going to be in. And it's for workshopping mostly, from what I understand. So it's not like I'm in a Zoom play and I must wear the costume I'm going to wear for the actual show. It's like not like that. But still, I'm excited about my costume. I'm trying to think about what kind of hairstyle Larkin would have. Well, thank you, Mal, for stopping by. It's definitely valid to rest. Having a headache is no fun. I love the little bunny emote that you put. That's really cute. And I hope your headache feels better. Definitely, lurking is definitely appreciated and valid. I'm trying to think. I can picture Larkin have a little ponytail. That's what I'm gonna do. Like a little fluffy ponytail. Because I know, and also like the great thing with painting Larkin, from what I understand, there's not like a canonical Larkin look. Because I think canonically they appear differently to everybody who views them. Like whatever that person would find attractive. So I'm like, that's good. So I can just do something that I'd be like, oh, this is attractive. And I don't have to be like, oh no, does it look like Larkin canonically looks? Because like it will just look like him. But yeah, costuming and clothing and stuff like that is a lot of fun. And that's something I've always been interested in. Something I want to continue experimenting with is like wearing different things. Because recently I've seen some people out shopping and stuff. They had really great outfits, and I complimented both of them that I saw like the other day when I was out on their outfits. Both of them had kind of punk aesthetics, not totally punk, but punk or goth kind of aesthetics. Like one of them was wearing like, I don't really know what their t-shirt was, like a black t-shirt. It was like a graphic tee. I don't remember what was on the front. They had on those like gray kind of plaid pants that I love the aesthetic of those. And it occurred to me like, dang, I need to get some of those when it gets to be winter, or even better, I need to see if I can find shorts that have that, because I live in Florida. Pants are not the most logical thing to buy because it's not that long each year I can wear them. But if I can find gray plaid shorts, which I bet I can, in that same pattern, that would look badass. So I will look into that. So they were wearing like that, and they had on like chunky boots, which I always love me some good outfits that have chunky boots. My Doc Martens may have a hole in them, but that doesn't stop me from wearing them because they're awesome. There's not a big hole, but there is a hole. To be fair, I have worn them extensively. I've worn them in the rain. Walked around New York City like 10 miles a day on average for 3 days. Wore them on many vacations of mine. They've been through a lot, and I got them back in 2016. So I'd say it's pretty great that they're still around. They're still vibing. I'm gonna draw Larkin's eyebrows also. While I still have this out. Because of this paint. When glitter paint dries up, it dries up hard. You don't mess with glitter paint. You rinse your paintbrush. So I've learned this the hard way. As evidenced by my pile of paintbrushes that are not vibing. I'm getting a little paintbrush to fix this. Anyways. Yeah, I love Doc Martens. Okay, cool. And then the other one... Oh, and also this person had a purse that was like... The purse was like one of those kind of purses that snap together, but it was like... It said it was like a book of spells, and I was like, that's so cool! Their whole outfit was so cool. So there was that, and then also another person, their outfit, they had on chunky boots. I think like a kind of shorter length black skirt, kind of like those cheerleading kind of looking skirts. I forgot the actual name of that type of skirt rather, but I do own some. Maybe they're called circle skirts? I don't remember. They're flowy and they're popular. You can get them like galaxy print and stuff like that. They had on that and like I think dark purple tights, and they had a shirt which was a corresponding color. Or no, I think maybe the shirt was black. It was a very cool look. I don't remember all the details of it, but it was very cool, and I was like, I want that. Okay. But yes, I was excited about all that. Um, so that's one thing I'm trying to, think about more is like, what do I want my aesthetic to be? And I don't want to have one consistent aesthetic. It's not like I'm always going to dress this way and this is what I'm going to wear. But I would like to, because a lot of times I do kind of have an aesthetic, but a lot of times I do wear stuff. It's just because I'm like, I'm wearing this t-shirt that I slept in and it looks nice, but I still didn't really put effort into doing a look. So, because of that, I have a lot of untapped clothing potential, and I could also do these cool looks. It's just mostly a matter of me figuring out what I want to wear. And also, like, some places I go, I want to have, like, I want to pass more as male. And right now I'm not, like, when I would go to concerts and stuff before, I would wear a bunch of different aesthetics of clothing. I could play around with it. I can't do that so much now because I'm like, I'm going to Walmart. That's about the extent of my fun times, which is totally okay. And I'm not going anywhere else until it's safe. But still, it's just like there's not good opportunities to dress up. But I want to maybe try to dress up more around the house of wearing cool outfits, even if I'm just going to be home all day. I might as well. But anyways, I'm trying to think what Larkin would wear. I'm picturing him wearing like a really dark green. I need to get my dark green paint. Dang. There's this craft room, which is where I am recording which is where I always record my streams. It's a mess. And it can be a bummer because there's no room to find anything, and I'm trying to move a bin to get my paint, and I'm like, I can't do that. Anyways, I'm trying to think though, what would you wear that's dark green? I mean, he works at a tavern. I'm thinking like, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking a plaid shirt and a vest. Like a black button-up vest. That's the vibe I'm gonna go for. There's a paint bubble on top of this. I want to pop the paint bubble, but not over my clothing. Anyways. But, yeah, so the thing is with clothing, there's a lot of fun things. I have a frog bucket hat now, and I have one of those, like, I guess wallet chains. It has rainbow mushrooms on it. I have a lot of cool stuff, and I just never remember to wear it, or I'm about to go shopping, and I'm like, I'm just wearing a t-shirt. And, like, I have no problem my aesthetic of cool graphic tees and shorts and my rainbow laced combat boots. I have no problem with that. I very much enjoy that aesthetic. I'm trying to think where the shoulder would come back here. Anyways. I do like my aesthetic. It's not that I'm like, oh, this aesthetic is, not a vibe. But sorry, I'm just trying to paint a shoulder. It's not that the aesthetic is not a vibe. It's just sometimes I wish that I was wearing like something that would be more like if I saw somebody wearing it, I would be like, oh, I've got to compliment this person. So it's really when it comes down to it, like, I was like, okay. I'm trying to think. Just going to paint this real quick. So I want to incorporate more items like that. And I also want to incorporate just more of the kind of cool punk aesthetic. But like color punk. Color punk really is my favorite aesthetic. And that and cottagecore. I want to incorporate more of both of those. So I do want to think about it because I do consciously think like, oh yeah, how could I have a aesthetic more like this? And it's not because I'm trying to like fit in with an aesthetic. It's because I like the aesthetics and I like consciously looking certain ways. So I like analyzing like I like this outfit that I saw a picture of. What did I like about it? And then make a plan for like how can I have more of that aesthetic? And also adapting it to both my personal sense of style, what gives me gender euphoria, as well as um like what do I already have? What do I have access to? And like one good thing that I will say is soon I will have my second COVID vaccine and I will feel a little bit more comfortable running non-essential errands. Like when I am fully vaccinated, even after the 2 weeks of getting the antibodies and stuff, even after that point, I'm still not going places that have crowds. But I'll feel better about like going to a local nature park and also non-essential errands because I really try to keep errands as much as possible to like going to the grocery store. Not, hey, here's a cool shop, I'll check it out. Like if I don't have to go there, I'm not going there. But when I'm vaccinated and also when my household is vaccinated, then I will feel more comfortable about like going to the thrift store because there's a lot of clothes things I would like to wear, but I don't have that much extra money to just straight up buy them. I don't like being, I like avoiding being wasteful when I can as far as clothing purchases go. So, and also like thrift stores have unique stuff for good prices. Like there's some prices you can't get anywhere else outside of a thrift store. So that's what I miss. I miss when I go to the thrift store and like, what do I want to buy in the thrift store? And go to those sections and like sometimes you won't find anything cool, but sometimes you will. But there's a lot of things that are like I like keep my eyes out for like, oh, I can wear something that's this aesthetic. And it's me finding stuff that I like to wear and that gives me gender euphoria. Okay. Okay, I like what I'm doing with this. But I do miss thrift shopping. And I do miss because like finding stuff you didn't know you're looking for is great. But yeah, I do like things that are again like color punk aesthetic. I do like that. Okay, so the vest is going to be here. Okay, a little more this way. And here. Okay. But yeah, I do like the color punk aesthetic. Punk aesthetic, but with colorful elements. Because I admire the heck out of outfits that are more monochromatic punk outfits. But for me personally, like my personal sense of style is colorful and fun. So ultimately, like my dream aesthetic is somewhere between straight up cottagecore. And when I say aesthetic, like I never pick one solid aesthetic and only dress like that. But like types of aesthetics, cottagecore would be one, and then color punk would be another. So like that would include things like having a punk or kind of goth themed aesthetic as far as some pieces of the outfit, like chunky boots and like maybe fishnets or other tights of some sort, maybe, or colorful tights, depending. So having something like that, and then having a like froggy bucket hat, but with eyeliner, like that kind of look, like I don't know how all those things would go together, but some combination like that of colorful but very distinctively a punk aesthetic, that sounds really cool. And that's something I do want to make a goal to like do that more in this upcoming year. So, because of that, then I'm excited about that. It's always fun finding new ways that you like dressing. And coming with new combinations of, stuff you already have. Larkin's hair looks really cool, by the way. It's glittery. I'm excited. But anyways, but yeah, so clothing is a fun and interesting and funky cross-section along with gender and how you want to appear in the world and identity and confidence and a bunch of other things, which is one reason I've always loved fashion. Because, there's so many different, like, oh, I could combine this, this, and this. It's very cool. But, and one thing not fashion related to change the topic, because I think that was all the stuff I wanted to say about fashion. Before I do streams, I try to think about, like, what I want to talk about in the stream. And sometimes I'm like, I'll talk about this, and I talk about something totally different. And also, like, if the chat's talking about something, then I'm also like, oh, that's cool, good. But the thing is that I do try to think about, like, what I want to talk about. Just so I don't have to be like, I'm on the stream, but I have no idea what's happening. But one thing is the fact that, unrelated, I'm trying to get better at coming up with systems that will help me be more organized and have my stuff together a bit more. Because I have the problem of forgetting to do things. Doing things, but it being harder than it needs to be. I'm gonna paint this little kind of alcove in the shirt because the vest wouldn't straight up come across the top. Vests are V-shaped. Haha. Okay, cool. Got it. Anyways, but I'm trying to come up with systems to help me get my house clean specifically. Because one thing I know I've talked about in here before is the fact that I don't have like, my parents never had that clean of a house when I was growing up. And it's just how they are. So it's not so much, like, they didn't teach me how to clean a lot of things or how to keep a house organized. And I do live with them, so it's still the same issue of them also not knowing how to clean or keep things organized. So you have that, and you have me, ADHD. It makes cleaning very, very hard. So a lot of times, almost my entire life, my house has been some shade of messy. And it pretty much is most of the time. And when I say messy, kind of this desk is kind of a good example of what a lot of parts of my house look like, basically. This is not just my desk and the house is sparkling. This whole room looks that way, basically. This is like our office, basically, this room. So it's a big mess to tackle, and it's also overwhelming because a lot of times, like, I should clean it, but it takes a long time, and I lose energy trying to do it, and I get burnt out. So I can't work on it for that long at a time. But, like, I want to get it clean because I'm also, there's stuff that I haven't been able to find that I need to be able to find. I have a book due back to the library. And the library system in the county I live in doesn't collect fines anymore for overdue books, so that's a good thing. They realized it's actually costing them more to enforce fines than it was to just shut up and, people will bring back their books, and have good faith that people will bring back their books eventually. I have had a book that was due in September, and I don't know where it went. Somewhere in our house. And the library hasn't said anything about it, but I also feel bad because I'm like, I want to return it, but I literally don't know where it is. So that's the kind of problems. But I'm gonna turn this. But the thing is that that's better. So it's one thing I've been trying to do recently, because the main issue, as much as I love Marie Kondo's, like, I love her whole method of, like, does it spark joy? Like, I think that's great. That's my main takeaway from the Art of Tidying Up book. The thing which is harder for me to do is for me to go through my house and, like, find all your pens. Find the ones that spark joy. I'm like, there's pens everywhere. And that's also, I understand, partially, like, a cultural difference, I think. Americans' houses are much larger than houses in even Europe and things like that. Americans have a lot more stuff in their houses, so it's not quite so easy to just be like, I'm gonna, go gather up all my shirts right now. Because I'm like, there's shirts everywhere. There's shirts I don't even know about. There's probably shirts, like, weird places that you would never think there would be shirts, but there are shirts. So it's not so practical for me to do, that whole method. And I tried before, but things get messy again. And also, I am a maximalist in a lot of ways, and not a minimalist. And I like being a maximalist and having that kind of whole, like, random house of a wizard kind of vibe. Like, just having a bunch of cool stuff everywhere. That does spark joy, to have a lot of cool belongings. But obviously it's important to be able to get rid of belongings when they don't spark joy. But, so it's not quite so much, and a lot of the problem isn't so much having so much stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I'm keeping for, let's say, art projects, which I haven't done yet, but are things I genuinely want to do. I just haven't gotten around to doing them, because having ADHD makes all of that infinitely harder. So you have that, and on top of that, you have the issue of, it's not just me making the messes, it's my whole family not really knowing how to clean, or not being motivated to do so. My parents have their own mental health issues, not ADHD, but, like, anxiety and depression, things like that. So it's not, like, why didn't they do this? It's mostly just the stuff that needs to get done, and I'm the only one that's going to do it. So I've recently been trying to come up with systems that prevent me from getting burnt out, because a problem with my fun ADHD causes the problem that if I start cleaning, either I'm not in the mood to clean at all, and I, will have to struggle to get it done, or I'll start cleaning and I'll hyper focus on cleaning, and then I'll clean until I'm burnt out. This is not a vibe. Because I'll clean until I burn myself out, and then I'll be grumpy because I'm burnt out. Because I've used up my spoons on cleaning. And because I'm overstimulated then at that point, and it's not any fun. And I have to lay on my bed for a long time. Not napping, but just lie there to, like, recalibrate my body and my emotions or whatever. Recalibrate my overwhelm and, like, overstimulation. I have to, like, chill or stim or other things like that to just get myself to not feel burnt out. That tends to happen. It's not a vibe. So to avoid that, I try to limit cleaning. Um, one book I do really like, I forgot who the author is, um, but it's called F Word Your Habitat. Um, I, my stream, I don't want to say the actual word because I don't know if there are any younger people who may not want to hear cursing, but you know what I mean. Um, so the thing is that book on F Word Your Habitat, um, it's a really good book, and it's a good book because it talks about cleaning, but from what I remember, it's been a while since I read it. It talks about cleaning though, but taking into account people who have chronic illnesses or who are disabled or who have mental illnesses and who, if nothing else, have limited spoons for dealing with stuff like that. So it's nice because it takes into account, like some books are like, spend an hour doing this. And you're like, what? I would never do that. I don't have an hour I can't focus on that for an hour. This book is like, talks about cleaning in short bursts and also discusses how to avoid the whole hyper focusing on cleaning and to burn yourself out type of cleaning, which is good because that's always been a big problem. And like when I was younger, I didn't realize it was overstimulation. I was just like, why do I feel bad after I clean? And now I know why. It's like sensorily overwhelming and overstimulating, and then I have like kind of like built up weird energy. It's confusing and it's annoying. Because I understand what it is and what happens, I'm able to avoid it now, so I'm better at not hyper focusing on cleaning, or at least resting once I have hyper focused on cleaning, because I understand like I need to do this. But anyways, but the thing is that talks about like cleaning in a couple minutes, and also I try to think about like doing something very briefly, very limitedly is better than not doing it at all. So, for example, I think blogger James Altucher is the one who I originally saw this concept from. I don't know if he's the one that came up with it. I do think that's where I read the concept first, though. Um, about like he was saying he was trying to like floss his teeth, and it was hard for him to do that. He always put it off. So then he was like, you make it his goal to brush one tooth. And that seemed a lot less overwhelming. So from that kind of concept, like doing something is always better than doing nothing. Doing something and implementing it inconsistently is better than not implementing it at all. Making the effort when you can do it is better than never making the effort. So I think that's a kind of a good philosophy to live life by. Like saving $1 towards something you really want to buy, if you only have an extra dollar to do so, is better than not saving anything if it's something you really want. Or, spending 5 minutes working on art is better than not working on art at all. If you, are in the mood to work on art, but you're like, I don't have time to work on art, it's like, just do it for 5 minutes. So I try to apply that to a lot of things that I struggle with that I would like to do or like to do more or make, habits, or just let myself relax and do. Kind of like, I like watching TV shows and movies, but I also tend to over focus on being productive. And I over focus on being productive, and then I'm like, I don't have time to watch this thing, because in my mind, like I know I've talked about this before, it sometimes seems like a waste of time because I'm like, I've got all these projects I have to get done, but I'm also like, it's important to relax. It was like these two conflicting sides of things. But one way I counteract that is by combining things to make the like watching TV productive, like watching Netflix or something while cutting out stickers for Etsy. I'm combining something I have to do anyways, which is productive, with something, relaxing. Because I'm using the time for something relaxing, I can justify to myself why I'm, spending that time relaxing. it's kind of a bummer mindset that I'm in the first place. And it does have its problems for sure. So there's that. But that's something I'm still working on. But in the meantime, kind of, putting one foot in each side of things has been helpful. But the thing is that, excuse me, with cleaning is one of those things that, like, I know I need to do it more, but I'm also terrible at actually doing it. So, and going also off of the, like, doing something is better than doing nothing, which, to be honest, is a concept I need to get a little better at, of not just like, well, I wasn't 100% perfect, so I have to drop what I'm doing and start over. My progress meant nothing because I wasn't perfect. Like, I'm trying to get out of that mindset and remind myself of, like, doing something for 5 minutes, or, for example, like, as far as keeping my house clean, putting one piece of clothes away in my closet is better than not putting any clothes away in my closet. It's really small. I could totally put one piece of clothes in my closet like that. It's not overwhelming. Putting all of it in my closet, yes, overwhelming. Which means I probably am not going to do it. But putting one piece in the closet, like, I can do that. Just one piece of clothing. So I need to get better at, like, remembering to do those things and build those habits, because, like, theoretically my house could be clean. It could. But it just isn't. But, so one main thing, kind of all those concepts mixed together, one of the main things that I've been working on doing is clean one little zone every day. How big the zone is entirely up to how many spoons I have and how motivated I am and how much time I have. A zone could be part of, like, here's the thing. The other day, my zone was to clean off the table, and I didn't have time to finish cleaning off the table, but I got part of the kitchen table cleaned off. That was one zone. Another zone was to clean between two speakers in our living room. It had a pretty lot of stuff between it. It hadn't been cleaned in a long time. There was a lot of just random objects sitting there. And, like, I'm always kind of embarrassed when I talk about how the inside of my house looks, because, like, it's messy. But I also like talking about it because it's something that I feel like a lot of people can relate to, and it shouldn't be stigmatized if somebody's house is messy. I mean, obviously there are limitations. Like, if your house is actually a health hazard, like, that's something that needs to be, that's more of a priority to deal with it. If it's actually a danger to the people who live in it. But most of the time, that's not the case. It's just people's houses are really messy. So clean one zone is me being like, I'm going to clean this little area. And the area can be incredibly small. It could be like, there's a tiny 1 foot by 2 foot section on the floor that needs to be cleaned. And be like, okay, cool, I'll clean up those things. There's only a couple items there. That's kind of my plan. That's my plan. Because I want to ultimately have everything be clean and stay clean. And I know that is, a hard part of the battle, things staying clean. But if I do this, like, clean one zone, a zone also, I will say, could be part of something. Like, if I was going to clean a zone, let's say I didn't have that much energy, I could be like, I'm going to clean up this little area, everything behind the paint, like from here to here. You can divide up your spaces like that. So I could be like, I'm going to pick up this stuff and put it away in an appropriate place. So my hope, and this is something I've just started, so I don't know how it will work out, if it will finally be the holy grail of me keeping my house clean. But if nothing else, it seems so far like a good way of doing it, because in theory, when the house is clean finally and all zones have been cleaned, and I'm also like, there's so many zones that need clean, like, this is never going to get done. I just do one little zone at a time. It's better than doing no zones at all, because being overwhelmed by it and not doing anything is way worse than me, it taking a long time to get all the zones cleaned. But once all the zones are clean, then I can keep those zones clean by or even not even all the zones even have to be cleaned. Once I've cleaned a zone, if it gets messy again, starts getting messy, that could be the zone I cleaned that day. Keeping the spaces clean that I've cleaned could count as that day's zone if I choose to do that. So that's an experiment, really, because I'm always perpetually trying to get better at stuff like that. Oh, the desk makes that sound. That's what the sound is. It's just beyond the frame of the camera, but it's like right here on the desk, but just like an inch away. There's a part of the desk that makes a little snap sound. Anyways. But the thing is that, so yeah, it's an experiment to see, is this the way to do it? But I'm hoping it is, because it's also been a bummer of trying to clean the house so many times and not succeeding at it. Temporarily cleaning it, making whoa, it looks really nice, and then not that long later it doesn't look nice. So because of that's kind of a goal of mine, is to try to do that. Try to keep everything looking nice. If I do it one zone at a time, again, that's way better than not doing any zones. And also, it could be picking, that's another thing too, that I try to do, and I understand it can be hard to, stop at a certain point of cleaning. So sometimes I know, this wouldn't be an effective method. But you can also do things I'm going to pick up 10 items. I've done that before. Said to myself, I'm going to pick up 10 items out of this room and put them where they're supposed to go. And that's totally valid. You may not have the energy to pick up all of the items, but at least you can do some of the items. 10 items, putting those items away where they belong is better than no items. But, oh, and I'm excited because the other day I got my new computer. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. I've wanted a new computer for a while. For a long time I thought my current computer, it will work. And I started playing games on Steam, and I was like, no, it won't work. It tries. My laptop is great, but it has its issues. Mostly because it's very old. I think it's 8 years old, which is old for a laptop. So because of that, but yeah, it arrived in the mail the other day. I got it all set up. I still have to get it set up on my desk because I'm going to need it tomorrow. But it's going to be really exciting because now I have a new computer. I can stream games in digital art at some point. I'll probably stream games before I stream digital art, only so I can figure that out a little bit more. But I definitely want to do both of them. And now I have a computer, so I can actually do this. I might stream games sometime this week. I'll have to figure out what kind of game do I want to stream first. So, but yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. Because I've seen all these amazing streamers streaming games, and I keep being that's so fun. But until now, I couldn't do that. Now I have a computer that's presumably fast enough to do that. I'm this is great. So I'm very, very excited about that. Again, I'll have to figure out what game I want to do first. I probably don't want to do a game that I'm like, what is happening with this game? I probably want to stream a game that I know, and I know what to expect. I might stream Stardew Valley. That might be the first game I stream. So I will make an official announcement about game streaming. At this point, I don't think I can commit to a regular game streaming day of like every day, every week at this day I will do a stream. Mostly because I'm very busy. I'm busy with my job and stuff, so I don't think that would work. But I do want to stream games on a regular basis. And I'm also less than 15 followers away from my 50 followers. So that's really exciting. Especially considering that I've got all those followers and still never streamed a game and just, done this like one art stream a week. But yeah, I want to... I will probably stream games, like... I want to stream games on a more regular basis. How much of a scheduled game stream I'll be able to do, I don't know. I have no idea. So I might have more impromptu streams for a bit. Like, I want to play Stardew Valley, so I'm going to stream. I would ideally like to have more of a schedule. I know schedules are a good thing, but not being able to have a schedule is not something I'm going to let bar me from being able to do this in the first place. So I'll do my best. But, yeah, so I'll probably, I don't think I'll have a schedule, like, again, I probably won't have a scheduled stream for a while, of, like, every, time at a certain point I'll do this. It's still wet. Not that. This is wet. I probably won't have that for a while, but in the meantime, I think I'll do a combination of, like, I'm gonna play this game, and just, like, random games in conjunction with playing games like Stardew, where you can watch different streams and kind of follow the story. So I'm excited about all of that. Because there's some games I've completed before, but I will play them again for the stream. Like Fae Fever. I want to play it for the stream, because I do want to play it again. And I already have it, so. That is a game that I will play. And it's been a while since I played the stream, also. Played the game, rather. So I'm excited about that. But, like, so there'll be little kind of one-off games like that. And there'll be other games like, I'm going to play Stardew. You can join me. Some of the streams may just be, at least for a bit, like there may be more midday streams. It depends. There may be evening streams, but I might have to have, like, my microphone off, and just be in the chat. Because I might want to stream, but, like, because I do live with my parents, they a lot of times want to be able to watch television and talk and do things that may be loud in the background of a stream, so I may not have the mic on for those things. We'll have to see. It really depends. But yeah, so there may be some little stipulations like that about my game streams and art streams. I also want to stream art on a regular basis, especially now I have a tablet. So I'm very excited. Oh no, I need more of this color. What color? Cameo pink. When I'm using my paint, sometimes I'm like, dang, I'm almost out of this color. Anyways. But yeah, I do want to stream those things regularly. because I do want to make more art. I've made a lot of art recently, but I don't feel like I've made enough art, if that makes sense. I feel like that's something artists can understand. Like, you know you've made art, but you still don't feel like you've made enough art. Or you've made certain types of art, but not other types of art. And I want to do that. Just want this to be lip color. Anyways. Lip color, but still will show up. And not too dark. Anyways. But yeah, so there'll probably be some stipulations as far as my game streams and digital art streams. I will continue this art stream that I have. It may change at some point, or what I stream, it may change depending on what's popular or whatever. Or the times I stream may change. But that wouldn't happen for a bit, and I don't know if it's even going to change. I mean, I'll probably keep streaming some kind of art at this time. Even if, and like I might change it up sometimes. Like sometimes I'll do digital art at this time. Because it's an art stream, it's also kind of a just chatting stream. I'm making art, but I'm also telling you random stories and all kinds of fun stuff. Trying to make sure I'm painting lips correctly. That's what this stream is for. No, but in seriousness, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to stream, and I'm excited I'll have a computer that's fast enough to do that. So, be looking forward to that happening at some point. Because again, I might stream games sometime this upcoming week. Possibly on Thursday, maybe. If I can figure out my fun stuff. So I might stream on Thursday and Friday. And also when I do game streams, probably for now I'm not going to do like a 4-hour game stream. But that's because I'm unlikely in most situations to play games in general for 4 hours. And to focus on a game for that long, no matter how much I enjoy the game. So my game streams will probably be probably 45 minutes, an hour on average, let's say. So they won't be too short, they just won't be too long either, but they'll still be a fun time. Alright, now comes the extra fun part, because all parts of art like this are fun parts. So I gotta draw a little nose. Alright. Successful nose has been drawn. I think I'm going to do dark purple for the... I like that. The white paint's not dry yet. Not a vibe, white paint. But anyways, but I'm excited for all the streaming stuff. I'm just excited to have a new computer in general, because my other one great. I'm going to keep it. It's going to keep being my laptop. But it's just not quite as good at some other things just because it's old. Because again, it's like 8 years old. Computer stuff 8 years ago was probably less complex from a RAM requirement standpoint, I'm sure. Just trying to get the purple down so I can then go over it with more purple. Because that white paint is not dry yet. It's probably not going to be dry anytime that soon. So I'm overcompensating with dark purple. A thicker layer of purple. But yeah, lots of exciting things coming up. Lots of fun projects that I've been working on. Okay. And one thing I am looking forward to when all the Nexilis portraits are indeed done, I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to paint the background. I'm looking forward to there being to doing a comparison. Like, I'll do a comparison of like, look at the first Nexilis paintings versus the most recent Nexilis paintings. I think that'd be cool. Because every time I paint a new portrait, I'm like, this looks a lot different than the first ones did. The first ones are good and all, but the newest ones, I'm like, whoa. There really is a big difference, at least from what I can see. I notice a big difference personally. I don't know how noticeable it is to everyone, but getting better at painting clothing and painting facial features. So when I look at the more recent paintings, I'm like, whoa, these really came out nice. And again, it's not that the other ones didn't come out nice, it's just you can see the improvement, which is a good thing. That's the fun thing about art. And it's kind of funny when you look back on it. Like, I know stuff I make now, there might be some of it that I'm like, why did I think that looked nice? Because at some point, like, I'll probably be better at art, and it won't look so nice and impressive as it did when I made it. And that's the thing you have to accept about making art. It's like, your art skills are going to change, and you're going to do things differently, or get better, or whatever it may be. No matter how good at it you may think you are, you will change probably over time. So there's so many things that when I made them, X number of years ago, I was like, these things are fantastic. They look amazing. This is great. And I look at them now and I'm like, why did I think that was nice? What did I think? Why was I thinking that? I know that has happened so many times. I made designs, I'm like, this design is super cool looking. Everyone's going to want to buy it. And then eventually I'm like, this was horrifying. Why did I make that? And like, that's the thing you have to accept about any kind of creative pursuit. It's like, you're going to get better at it. So there is going to, like, whatever you make that you think is nice, you're probably at some point going to be like, ew, why did I do that? And not necessarily. There's definitely things I made before that I thought were nice 10 years ago and I still think are nice. But those are just, that's not as common as me making things and being like, oh God, why did I make this? This is horrifying. Or just like, and that's one thing fun about being an artist and having your content and stuff like that. You are in control of your content. If you make something and you don't like it, you can remake it at some point. It's your idea still, and you can make it. So like there's drawings I did that I was like, I'm gonna put this on a shirt, and I never edited it. there are cute concepts, but not the execution of skill that I would, want to show people now. But I like the concept. So I have not done this, but now I have a drawing tablet. I should. I can use the lines and stuff that I did as a guideline, and then just do some lineless or lined, depending, digital art over it, and that would be really cool. So I'll probably do that. I have some cute concepts, some food puns and stuff like that. I think that would be fun. But that's the cool thing. It's like if I make something and I don't like it, I can change it. I can revamp it. And that's one thing I like recycling things. I love I have too many new ideas. I mean that in a positive way, but I have too many sometimes. Like, no, brain, keep giving me ideas, but understand I can't physically do all of them. But anyways, I have a crap load of ideas, but it's also nice sometimes. I'm like, well, there's something I did make before, but I just don't like how it came out. I can take it and revamp it. And there's some story ideas and stuff that I've thought about recently. There were things I'm like, I came up with this idea. The idea itself is not good. There are some ideas that the idea itself was come up with in good faith, but not things I'd want to make now. Because my approach to the topics was probably insensitive in some way accidentally. And what I mean by that specifically is, like I wrote a story about someone who was being shamed for her weight and stuff at school, and I had good intentions in writing it. It was actually my now unpublished book, Radiant, and I wrote it when I was like 19, and I did it with full good intentions, but I didn't, reach out to the community and find out like what it was actually like, and it wasn't something I had personal experience with, and that's why I unpublished that book, because I, at the time at least, didn't approach it in a, like, I approached it probably in a sensitive way, but there's still probably things I got wrong. So that's why I unpublished that book eventually. And I definitely feel like that was the right choice. Like, there wasn't anything probably offensive in it, but there was probably something which was wrong or insensitive. I didn't read through it. I just started thinking about it one day, and I'm like, you know what? This isn't an issue I personally dealt with, so me writing about it without, at the time, having done that much research on it, I probably messed up on something. So, for the respect of everyone, I'm going to remove it from sales. So there's that. And then, so there were certain things like that, and I also had some stories which, while again, good intentions, kind of came at like concepts like homelessness and things probably from a somewhat idealistic perspective, or romanticized perspective potentially. I don't know what all the ideas. I know I had a lot of ideas. If nothing else, a lot of them probably came from kind of a savior mentality, which I was like 16 when I came up with these, and I didn't know better. But now I know better. I'm like, a lot of what I would have written back then would have either been inaccurate or, accidentally insensitive by making it like, oh, it's not that hard, you just do this. Or treating it like, oh yeah, it's a problem to be solved. Kind of like a trope in a lot of fiction things involving disabled people. It's like, and then the disabled person gets better. And I now know that, like, that's a harmful trope. And I didn't have a story like that, but I have seen plenty of stories like that. So that kind of thing of, like, you not knowing what the community, how people actually in the community feel about something. And to a lot of people who use tropes like that, they probably don't realize how harmful it is, which is why when I see stuff about those tropes, I share it on social media, because I'm like, it's the kind of trope that I can picture a lot of people like, oh, this is a good trope though, not understanding how harmful it is. So I always want to educate people about that so they can be like, oh no, I didn't realize that wasn't, the right way to go about that. But yeah, I have a lot of things. So there's certain stories I've written that no matter what I did to them really, or at least in their current format, there's nothing good I could do to redeem them. But I could take the concept and apply it to, a different setting, or take some aspect of a character or something I came up with. I could do something like that and redeem the stories. And that's something I like thinking about because it is a lot of fun to take an idea that you had before that maybe, didn't come out well or wouldn't have come out well or that you never made and readapt it. I had a story. Actually, I had two stories. One I came up with when I was about 10 or 11. And the other one I was probably about 14 or 15. And one story was about, I think this part of the story was based on like a real story read in like guideposts or something. About a guy who, like, he was self-professed, I think, like, grumpy, possibly troubled. I don't know. It was a very long time ago, but he like took a baby deer and nursed it back to health and like helped him. And I do like stories like that. But I had that idea, and then I had a story which was going to be about a person who like rescues a dog from like a kill shelter, and like, or no, not that. I think they just find like a homeless dog in the street, and then they bring it in and take care of it. And then the dog ends up helping them as much as they help the dog. And like, I like nice stories like that. But I was thinking about this recently, and like, that's a nice concept, but also like, it could be made more interesting, the concept. That's kind, and like, to be fair, also at the time I read a lot of the chicken soup books as a kid. Like when I was like 10, I loved reading the chicken soup books. So that a lot of these things probably came from that kind of thing. But I'm also like, that's a great story, but it's not really the kind of thing that I make now. I make, as I describe it, cute, colorful, queer, magical things. So it's not so much the type of thing that I would be like, oh, I'm so excited to, because both of those are going to be, I think the deer one was going to be a movie. When I was like 10, I was like, I want to make a movie about this. Because when I was 10, I pictured myself, 10-year-old me, directing movies as a 10-year-old. And I was like, I could do it. And writing scripts and stuff and acting in my movies. Still a dream, but I'm, now as a 26-year-old more equipped to actually do that. But anyways, I very much appreciate childhood me's ambition and their belief in the fact that like I could do all these things. Whoa. So the thing is that, but that was gonna be a movie, and then this one about the dog was gonna be straight up a novel, I think, at some point. And I'm like, dang, I definitely don't have enough content to make that a novel. So I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't really think the best way would be a short story to kind of convey these things, but now I'm thinking about taking a combination of both those two concepts and turning it into like a little webcomic, like a short webcomic. Like there may only be one issue, episode, whatever of it. There may be a couple. It won't be a long running thing, but just a nice little story. And I'm going to take it, and instead of being about a woman rescuing a dog, a dude rescuing a deer, it's going to be about a person. It's going to take place in a fantasy setting because fun stories. A lot of the ideas that I have that I look back on that I think are kind of boring, or just not as interesting as I thought they were back when I came up with them like a decade ago, many of those ideas would instantly become a lot better if I put them in a fantasy setting. Just saying. I love writing fantasy stuff, or at least like magical realism, or being able to include stuff that maybe couldn't happen in the real world. I very much enjoy. So a lot of things like this story, I could make it tons better by making it somebody rescues a mythical creature that, you know, maybe isn't in, maybe something common in the context of the world, maybe something uncommon in the context, I don't know yet, and they nurse it back to health and help it. So that's where I'm going with that now. I'm excited because I have like, not all stories are written, but a lot of stories I've written, I do have documents of them somewhere in my computer stuff. Hidden. I have a lot of files. A lot of things, like, I have ideas. I'm like, I could take the core components of these ideas and change it into something, cool and something different. So, because of that, it's not me taking elements of stuff and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make the that's one great thing about ideas is like they can change. You can come up with something when you're like 11, like, hey, this would be a really cool idea. And maybe when you're an adult, it's not such a cool idea, but maybe there's some gleaming piece of joy that you could take out of it, like, this is a good idea. I'm going to take this and put it in my current story. Kind of like, which looking back on it, I think it's pretty good and pretty accurate. My novel Pressure Point. I mean, it's probably not the caliber stuff I write now by any means, but when I look back at it, like, I'm not embarrassed that I made it. I do like it still. I think from the last time I looked at it, I still theoretically like it. But anyways, I took that whole novel was a combination of a dream that I had, and I woke up with this like very vivid dream with these couple of scenes. I wrote it based on that, but I took that and I'd started writing a story when I was like 15, 14. It was a story about somebody who's like stole a jewel and ended up in these like kids that lived in orphanages bag, and they got kidnapped at some point. Fun fact, most of the characters from Pressure Point came from that weird little story that I wrote that wasn't at all good. That story really wasn't good. It was very cheesy, but I took it, and I took those characters, like, I do like these characters, and I do like this conflict of, like, why this one guy's helping this other guy and stuff. And I was like, I do like those elements. So I'm going to take those elements and put them in this much better story. And I did that, and I think it came out really well. So sometimes it's just like I have an old story idea, and I'm like, this story, ooh. But there's some character or scene or plot twist or plot device or phrasing of something which is worth revisiting. And I like that. I like that because it's a little surprise. And like, you came up with a good idea, like, by all means, recycle that idea. Use it for something else that suits it a little bit better. I think it's perfectly valid to do that. Yes, Larkin is wearing eyeliner. That's what I'm drawing. Also, I can picture Larkin have little freckles. I'm trying to think whether his whole eyes would be lined or just the top. I think I'll do that. Because I don't want to look like I was doing a lined drawing. But I'm picturing him with very cool, very gay eyeliner. I'm going to draw his little freckles in a second. Okay, I do like that. He has eyebrows. There are no fingernails in the picture. Those are the things I have to check because I know how I am. Also, while I'm at it, real quick, yes, this is kind of emo hipster Larkin. That's what look I'm going for. Okay, cool. Now it's freckle time. But anyways, all the paint just kind of came out really rapidly. What was I talking about? It's talking about... My brain just drew a total blank. Whatever I was talking about, I was having a good grand old time talking about... Oh, it's talking about stories. The thing about, like, even if it's just a few elements or something that you do appreciate still, I think it's perfectly valid to take those elements, only the things you like, and, like, recycle them. If you made a story and you don't like how it turned out, it's your right to take that story and redo it. You can do whatever you want with it. And, like, that's the thing I try to remind myself. Because, like, sometimes, as many ideas as I have, trying to come up with a new idea, I'm like, wow. And also, I think it's fun because, like, you came up with the idea. You went through the effort of coming up with it. You maybe even came up with the idea of making it into something. So if you don't like how it comes out, how much time you spent already making it, you already spent that time. So as long as the idea itself is solid, you don't want to remake something you're still not going to like, but remaking it, valid. Okay, awesome. And also, if the thing itself isn't good or it's just not something you would make anymore, take it, revamp it. Take a character, take a scene, take some part of it that you enjoyed. Alrighty. Well, it looks like Larkin is done. I've had a lot of fun today painting Larkin. That's the thing too. Like, as I've gotten better at the paintings, they've gotten more fun because I'm more confident and, like, I know what I'm doing. I know how to make a painting. So that's a fun thing also. It's like seeing your skills improve and then also you're more happy with what you make. Like, I've liked all my Nexilis paintings, but the ones I'm making recently, I'm like I can visibly see very much that I'm getting way better at painting than I was when I first started. So it's a nice feeling. I got paint all over my hands. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see some of it. I was trying to shut it and the paint, like, came out in my hand. Alrighty. And you can kind of see, I know it's glossy. It is glossy paint because the glitter's glossy. And also fun, I don't know if you can see a little bit of sparkling in the purple right there. It's because the paint water has glitter in it now. See the glitter? So the background is glittery also. But anyways, yeah. Here's our painting of Larkin, our little good fae partner of Wallace, in Casper Oliver's Welcome to Nexilis. And a real quick kind of shout out to Casper and Welcome to Nexilis. You can catch that queer homebrew D&D actual play live stream over on Casper Oliver's Twitch channel or on their YouTube. If you search Casper Oliver on YouTube, you'll see one. I think Casper Oliver & Co. is the name of the channel. And you can watch the view on demands on YouTube, or you can watch us streaming at now 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday evenings. So that's where you can watch it, and you can see the escapades of characters like Larkin and all the other characters that you've seen me painting on the stream, possibly. And the Twitch channel is just Casper Oliver VO, so CASPER OLIVER VO is in voiceover. That's their Twitch channel name, and you can watch the stream that characters like Larkin are from. So yeah, this is Larkin. I've had a lot of fun painting Larkin. So yeah, thank you all so much for showing up. Whether you were actively watching or lurking, I appreciate it so much, and I'm always glad when people come out to watch me paint because it's fun, and I'm glad that people enjoy showing up for that. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this one came out. And yeah, thank you so much for coming out. I hope everybody has a great week, and I'll see you next week at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's a small chance that I may not stream this upcoming week because I might have to change the scheduling of it because I probably have dental work that needs to be done. But I don't know what day that's going to happen, or if it may not even happen next week. I have no idea. But I'm just warning you that might not happen, but I'll keep you updated as soon as I know. Aw, thank you, Mal. Thank you for posting the little bunny again. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Again, there is Larkin. I really appreciate y'all coming out to watch me paint. And eventually I will actually scan these and put them on Instagram and Twitter and stuff where you can see them. So, but yeah, thank you so much. And I hope everybody has a good day. So, bye!